After watching this video, you will have a solid understanding of JavaScript event listener. Now, the first question is, what is an event? Event can be any action that occurs in the browser, like a button has clicked, page has been resized, data has been arrived from the server, this kind of thing. And event listener are those who are listening for a particular event. Now, the event listener can be a function. By assigning a function as an event listener, we're telling JavaScript that when that particular event occurs, run this function. Okay, now when the function runs, it will receive an object that will contain all the information about that event, like when that event occurred, what is the type of that event, and what is the target, this kind of things. Speaking of target, an event target will be on which the action is performed. Like if you are listening for a click event on a div element, then this div element would be the target. Okay, now let's see how you assign a listener and listen for an event. Say this is our simple HTML. We're just printing couple of divs and on inside another and giving some height, width, and background color with the help of CSS. So I'm not showing you the CSS here. So this is our JS file, and say you want to add an event listener on this div3. Like when a user click this div3, event occurs, and you want to run this function. So first you have to select the div3. Then you can call the method add event listener on that, and you have to pass two arguments. The first one is the event type as a string. So our case, that is the click. Remember, this event type is case sensitive. As you can see, I'm writing all lowercase in the click. And second parameter would be the handler function. So pay attention that we are not calling the function here. So by putting parenthesis after the function, we're just giving the function to the event listener. And when the event occurs, this function will be run by the JavaScript engine. So now let's see how JavaScript is actually handling this event and calling your function. So as soon as you add an event listener on an element, JavaScript will make an event path. So you can think like this event path is an ordered collection of the elements starting from window to the target element. So in our case, the target element is the div3. Now, when the event occurs, JavaScript will go through three phases. Okay, let's see these phases one by one. So the first phase is called the capturing phase. The second phase is called the target phase. And the third one is the bubbling phase. Now in the capturing phase, JavaScript will start from the beginning of the event path. So it will first go to this window element and ask like, there is a click event occurred. Do you care? Means, are you listening for this? So window will say, no, I'm not, because we did not add any event listener on the window element. Then it will ask every element sequentially that are they interested on this event or not. So after coming to this div2, the capturing phase is over. Now in the target phase, the event object will go to this target element div3 and give him the event object, and he will process the event with the handle div3 click handler, and target phase is also over. Now in the bubbling phase, the engine will start from the immediate parent, and the same thing will be repeated. Like it will first ask div2 again that do you care for this event, and then finally it will ask the window element, and then these three phases will be completed. Okay, now you might be thinking like, why do we need these three phases? Only the target phase would do the work, right? Let's see why this is important. So say you have also another event listener to this div1 element as well. Now what will happen when the user clicks on div3? Div3 is also inside div1. So when div3 is clicked, div1 is also clicked. So what do you think? Which event listener should run first? Handle click 3 or handle click on? So let's discuss the flow again. Now, as you know, the JavaScript engine will ask two times this div on element, that if it is listening for that event or not. Once in the capturing phase and second time in the bubbling phase. Now, when you are assigning the event listener to an element, if you do not pass any options, by default, it will listen for the bubbling phase. So let's see the flow. So capturing phase will occur, and again, no element is on in the event part is capturing the event or listening for the event. Then the target phase will occur and the handle click 3 will be run. After that, in the bubbling phase, when the engine will ask div1 after asking this div2, div1 will say yes, I am listening for the event. So the engine will hand over the same event object to its listener, and this handle click on function will be run. Okay. Now when you assign the event listener, if you pass this option, then handle click on will run in the capturing phase. and then in the target phase, the handle click 3 will run. By the way, this movement of event object from one element to another element is called event propagation. And at any point of time inside a handler, if you call this method stop event propagation on this event object, then immediately this propagation will be stopped. So let's see all these concepts in action. So I have a HTML file, and this is the whole setup. I'm not showing you the CSS. So I have div1, div2, div3. Okay, this is the structure. So if I add a event listener on this div3, I can do this by div3 and add event listener, and we will be listening for this click event. Okay, and I can pass an anonymous function if I want, like div3. Okay, now if I click on this div, as you can see, div3 is printing here. Okay, so this thing is working. So whenever you are passing a function, this function will be receiving an event object. Okay, so we can actually print that event object, console.log that event object. Now if I click on this thing, then you can see this is the event object. Okay, you can see this path as well, right? This div3, div2, div1, body, HTML document window. This is the path. Okay, so first in the propagation phase, this window will be called first, then document, then HTML, everything. And in the bubbling phase, from here the calling will be started. Okay, so we can add an event listener to this div1 if you want to. So div1, add a event listener, and we will be listening for the click event as well. And let's pass an anonymous function. So div1. Okay, and when this will be printing div3. So now if I click on this div3, so first this function is getting called, and then this function. So first div3 and div1. Now what we can do is we can actually capture the event. So if I pass a like second argument, so capture is true, say. If I do this and then click on this div3, as you can see, div1 is firing first and then div3. Okay, so this is the basic concept. So what you can do is you can also like come here and call like a stop propagation, then this, and remove capture from here, and then this div1 will not fire. Like if I click on div3, only div3 is firing and event is not propagated in the bubbling phase. Okay, so we can do this same in the div1 as well. So if I put stop propagation here, so if I click now, it won't do anything because this thing is firing after this function. Okay, because this thing is in the bubbling phase and this thing is the target phase. So if I say capture is true, so here what we are doing is we are capturing the event in the capturing phase, and then we are stopping the propagation. So then if I click on this div3, then only this function will be run and this function won't. Let's see. So if I click on this div3, as you can see, div1 console logging is div1 is happening, but div3 is not running. Okay, so that was basically the whole concept. If you now go ahead and open the MDN documentation about event JavaScript event listener, everything will make sense to you because you know the underlying concept, like how all the event path is working, how all the event object is moving from one element to another. And yeah, so that's all from my side today. And if you liked this video, then consider subscribing to this channel. We'll be having this kind of JavaScript related concept every week. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.